Have you thought much about what COVID lockdowns have done to the parish and the diocese, and what parishes and dioceses might look like in 5 or 10 years? Just if we can speculate. You don't have to be a prophet. We don't have to be right. But like, what are some? Like I shared with you earlier that it's like, I don't know how many people are like, I'm going to be like an adult faith formation guy, or I'm going to be a youth minister. I see a lot of people saying like, I'm going to be like an Instagram influencer, or I'm going to start a YouTube channel. And fair enough. But what does that do if I'm right in that assessment, right? That the majority of people who are like, say, going to Franciscan, if I'm right, that maybe whereas back in the 90s, a big percentage or a significant percentage were going into parishes or to do mission work somewhere. If I'm right that those people now, many of them are seeking like a place online, and for a number of reasons. One, it might reach more people. Two, they can make more money, right, to provide for themselves and their families. Okay, so then what does that do? Like, what does that poverty do in the structures of the church? Is that good? Is it bad? Is it just the way things are?
Well, I think the whole internet space is obviously this whole kind of fascinating thing that has developed in such a short period of time. That's right. And the influence that it has on Catholicism is staggering. I mean, and the fact that we're getting, every word of the Pope all the time, right? Or, everything is an international broadcast. Everybody with a
he
YouTube.
Can't finish a sentence without, in 5 minutes, there being a YouTube video about the thing he said.
It's crazy. Yeah. And so the ultimate influence of all of that, it certainly provides an incredible opportunity. I mean, we can have a conversation like this, or Jordan Peterson can have 5 million people. That's a couple of years ago when I watched his entire Maps of Meaning course and his entire psychological development course, models course, and there are 5 million people that had watched these entire courses online. It's just amazing. And there's more than that now. So what is it? Nobody ever addressed 5 million people before in the history of mankind. I mean, what does that do? And that's a whole crazy impact. But I think, this might also demonstrate the difference. We tend to pay attention to our own space, I suppose. Mm-hmm. So I haven't noticed that everybody wants to be an internet broadcaster, but you're much more in that space. And so you see some of the multiplication. But I think the church has reasserted the necessity of the parish. And I would go even more refined. And now this is my space, which is one-on-one accompaniment. And I see the necessity of that, the necessity of having that. And partly because of that need for individualization that I was saying before. What can you say to 5 million people, pray the rosary in your family, and then 5 million people are trying to cram this advice into situations that don't fit it. And I think we need this, and Pope Francis said it in The Joy of the Gospel, the entire church must be initiated into the art of accompaniment, which involves removing one's sandals before the sacred ground of the other. I love that expression.
Those were his words.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. He's used that a couple of times. Removing your sandals before the sacred ground of the other. That we need that individual reverence, that affirmation that Conrad Bars talks about. We need that like we need food. We need that like a plant needs water. And we can't mass produce that. Mm-hmm. And so while there's an incredible opportunity to put a lot of stuff out there, there's still a need to have a very personalized and connected space in which to grow. And that's what the parish needs to offer. I think the transformation that parishes become both landing places for people who are encountering the Lord. That's the localization. You can't receive the body of Christ through the internet. You can only receive that in the church.
Even confession, right? I can't shoot you an email.
You can't receive confession through the internet. You can't receive any of the sacraments through the internet. You can only receive them in person. So there needs to be a localization.
There is no app for that.
There's no app for that. That's right. So there has to be a localization. And then I think parishes as homes, but then also as places, seed beds for mission that we can draw out from there and we can draw into there. that it becomes a beating heart that really is able to send oxygen out into the world and then gather the sullied blood back into the heart to be cleansed and purified and then sent back out again. So, but that's a real shift from the culture of
I'm so
Catholicism.
glad to hear that there is this re-emphasis on the parish, because it's a re-emphasis on the human and how humans interact.
Yeah, in the summer of 2020, the Vatican Congregation for the Clergy put out a document on pastoral conversion, the transformation that should take place in a parish. And that's following up from the Joy of the Gospel, Pope Francis's document, and a number of things there, to have a missionary conversion, that everything should be set in a missionary key, but that the parish remains a vital element. It needs to be flexible, it needs to adjust, it needs to find, and I think the internet space for the parish and ways of communicating and having that outreach and fostering that kind of connection is really important, but to bring people in person also.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe or you're a dingus. What's a dingus exactly?
Used to refer to something one cannot or does not wish to name specifically.
You don't have to subscribe, but if you did, I'd love it. You dingus.
Like the video. That's who we're using that one. Take